I remember my daddy telling me, when he was an old coot, very old, so old that his voice was about the only thing about him that still worked. Jack, he said, when you're young, you're like a rabbit in the fields. You notice everything. The whole world fascinates you, compels you. All you do is twitch and wiggle and sniff and jump, and hump as many lady rabbits as humanly possible. But when you're old and you lose your hop, your interests narrow. You're like that old hound dog laying on the porch, too beat to cock an ear, wag a tail, or peel an eye. Sense of smell's about all that's left. Tells you when dinner's coming. That's about all you need to know. Now I'm old myself, and I see what he was talking about. I'm very old. Old as my daddy was. A hell of a lot older than I ever planned on getting, I can tell you that. I'm so old, I don't know how old I am. I lost count. Who cares? I've forgotten the last few years. That's no great loss. They got TVs in here, but I don't watch no television. My God Almighty, I'd rather die in peace. Don't you miss the sports, they ask me? Don't you miss the news? Hell no. I don't miss them one damn bit, neither one. I'm glad as hell to be rid of all of it. It all never come to nothing anyway. All those games of the century, those super duper bowls, all those great big historical events. Looking back, I'd say the thing that stands out most is the way people made such a screaming and hollering fuss all the time over nothing at all. It was all one great big long whoop-de-doo. What do I care about now? I care about fresh sheets, my bed linen, a pillow for my head, cool water, a sponge bath, someone to shave my whiskers so they don't start to itch, a decent bowel movement. Don't shake your head. Nothing beats a good solid crap. Oh, I can remember when a hard-on was important, a drink of whiskey, a fat commission, an open field tackle. Yeah, I remember. And I'd trade them all right now for the continued success of my digestive system. It's not just me that feels that way. In here it's everybody. Everybody's number one concern. Regularity. That's what they call it. Regularity. The people in here will discuss their bowel movements for hours on end. In great detail. In mixed company. It ain't gross or crude. It's clinical. They do it the way people outside talk about the weather. In here we ain't got no weather, but we got our bowels, and it's an ever-changing field of discourse. Color, consistency, frequency, some of them are a bit shy at first, but when everybody else brings it up, or starts talking about the Metamucil, or the milk of magnesia, the softeners, the stuff that firms it up, then they all chime in. I never would have believed it. The willingness, hell, the downright eagerness of people to open up about their bowels. Something else my daddy told me that was growing old was the shits. I didn't know he meant it literally. The great part of my life, to tell you the truth, I never gave the subject a second thought, and no one I knew stopped to consider it much in depth, leastways not around me. You just can't imagine the guys at work ever discussing this on a break or at a party. If somebody asked you, how's it going? They certainly didn't expect you to open up about your colon. But in here, people are like they're making up for lost time. Far and away, bowel movements are the prime topic of conversation. Number 2 is number 1 in here. Nobody goes on about their family or anything like that except the newcomers. And they stop that after they've been here a few weeks. Elmer Garr, he talks about his teeth all the time, wondering where they are, but nobody listens to him because eventually he finds them right where he always does, in his mouth. Alice Mayhew, blind from cataracts, one leg lost to the sugar diabetes, she talks about how Willie Nelson is going to come and marry her and take her to live with him on the road. And that story has gotten to the point where all of us wish Willie'd show up and do it. Believe me, the main concern around here is the functioning of the large intestine. Very frank talk, too, leaving nothing out. The ones who have good ones boast about their good ones, and the ones having trouble, like constipation and blockage, will bitch and complain about that, about their discomforts and medication, about their hopes for tomorrow, about the big E, the enema. Folks are afraid of it at first, then it's like a religious conversion. They look forward to it. It's a blessing. I think if the priest who comes here, Father Daly, also gave out enemas as a sacrament, more folks would confess and believe. There's an edge of suspense to it all, you see. You don't take anything for granted anymore. Given our advanced age, there's no telling what tomorrow could bring. Maybe nothing new. Maybe a wonderful, heartfelt, good old-fashioned dump. Maybe the end of this life. There's an aspect of fear in there, too. I swear I never would have thought I'd be around so many people who were darn near holding their breath for fear of spotting blood in their stool. My advice on that is, don't look. But none of them seem able to resist. It's an attraction I can't fathom. If there was a network on television for senior citizens, I mean us real old coots, they'd have a big bowel hour on every night in prime time, or they would if I was in charge of things. The Stool Report. It would be one of those talk shows with a host, Bill Bowell, who goes out into the audience with a microphone. Those people would talk about their bowels. They'd testify. They'd laugh and they'd cry. And they'd have celebrity bowels on, too, and call-in bowels, and everybody would watch it. Land's sakes, they'd be glued to their sets.